If you haven't already seen the rejected features in Pokemon Red, Blue and Yellow that I made, I'm basically doing a series in which we look at rejected features for every single series of Pokemon, and obviously with the release of Crystal this weekend, I thought we may as well go back to Generation 2 and look at some rejected features in the second generation games, which are some of my favourite of the Pokemon franchise. Now we are only going over 10 in this video, so if you know something that wasn't mentioned, be sure to leave it as a comment in the comment section below, and also don't forget to leave a like on this video too to show your support, and I'll be sure to bring out a new video very shortly. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already to keep up to date, and follow my Twitter to my updates about the channel. Both of those links can be found in the description down below. Now without further ado, let's get into some rejected features, and I really hope that you guys enjoy. So starting things off with our first rejected feature from Pokemon Gold, Silver and Crystal is actually an unused opening demo track, and I'm going to play this for you guys in a second, but I actually really like this opening theme and I kind of wish they went with it over the original. Don't get me wrong, the original is really good, but I'm sure that after you've heard this in a second then you're going to think that it's pretty good. But anyway, here is the unused demo track. The next rejected feature for Pokemon Gold, Silver and Crystal is something that I never really thought about, and it's actually being able to name your own mother. Of course, your mother is that nice loving character in the game, sometimes give you the running shoes, you know, she's a good old egg. However, I didn't realize that there was actually an option that was just kind of swept under the rug for Pokemon Gold, Silver and Crystal. Anyway, a fully functional unused feature allows you to actually name your player's mother, and curiously, during the Dude's Pokemon catching tutorial, the player's name is actually copied over to the same location in where the mother's name is actually stored. So basically, what this suggests is that either the tutorial didn't exist when the naming mechanism was created, or that the players would actually be only able to name their mother once the tutorial was no longer accessible. So I think it would have been pretty cool if there was maybe one day in the future we are actually allowed to name our mother's name in the Pokemon games. Our next rejected feature for the second generation games that we're going to go over is unused field moves. Now if you are unfamiliar with field moves, I'm talking about like strength and cut and stuff before obviously the addition of the ride feature in the Pokemon Generation 7 games. Anyway, there were two unused field moves in the second generation games. The first one was the payday moves. Obviously we all know payday, Meowth chucks his coins, you get some free money, it's all good, but apparently this could actually be used outside of battle, but unfortunately attempting to use it caused the game to crash, and it was removed from the ability pointer table. So I don't know what they were actually going to do with payday or how they were going to implement that in the games at all, but apparently it crashes the game. And the other one is just an error, so I have no idea what this was called, but it was just literally an error where like strength or cut would be, but this wouldn't actually crash and freeze your game, so I'm not sure what the hell this was supposed to be. I'm just more curious about what payday, how they were going to implement that into the games. But anyway, some extra field moves is always nice to have, so I wonder why they decided to go against them. The next rejected feature for Pokemon Gold, Silver and Crystal is all to do with the bug catching contest. We all know what this is in Generation 2, you gotta catch the biggest bug to win that prize. But however, it was actually an unused Venomoth contest encounter. So basically, what the game does is it calculates which Pokemon are caught by the other participants in the bug catching contest using this table on your screen right now. The table actually determines the likelihood that each species of Pokemon will be encountered, as well as their potential level range and everything like that. The final entry though, which is Venomoth, goes unused, and this is probably because the fact that Venomoth can't actually be encountered in the national park, but hey, it was still there, so maybe they were supposed to have it, but the game never allowed it to be found, which is, I don't even know, well, just a bit of a glitch probably, but it's in there, it's a rejected feature. The next rejected feature that we're going to go over for the Generation 2 games is an unused NPC sprite. Now this sprite is on your screen right now, and it's kind of curious what it is supposed to actually do. Now this character appears to have no walking animation though, suggesting that it may have been a character who was never really intended to move, hence why there was no walking animation, such as like a sales clerk or a gym leader. The character does look similar to both gym leaders Chuck of Sionwood City though, and Price of Mahogany Gym, so maybe it was supposed to be a gym leader, like maybe maybe a combination of the two, but decided to split up and have 2 separate gym leaders. I don't know, but it's cool to see these unused NPC sprites because it kind of just shows the direction of where the games were actually heading, and I am kind of curious to see what this Pokemon trainer or gym leader or just random person had in store for us. The next rejected feature that we're going to go over for the Generation 2 games is actually unused status prevention items. So basically there are 6 unused item effects that if they were assigned to items which could have been held by a Pokemon, it would have prevented the holder from being afflicted by various status effects. These are all shown on your screen right now in this little table, and basically they aren't consumed after use, allowing them to be used like just constantly. But anyway, as you can see on your screen right now, number 14 prevents the holder from being poisoned, number 15 prevents the holder from being burned, number 16 prevents the holder from being frozen, number 17 prevents the holder from being put to sleep, number 18 prevents the holder from being paralyzed, and number 19 prevents the holder from being confused. And these are all just similar to abilities. Coming up next is something that I'm really excited about and to show you guys, and it's about all of the early city designs. Now I'm going to show you each early city design, the obviously early design and then the final design right next to it, and it's really fun to look at these. Anyway, first up we have New Bark Town. So as we can see in the first early designs of New Bark Town, there was actually a Pokemon Center there, which would have been very helpful. As we can see in the final edition, that was obviously scrapped. Next up we have Cherry Grove City, which doesn't have a huge difference, obviously a lot smaller. Obviously the final edition had like the much more patches of water instead of the first one, and also the Pokemon Center and the Pokemon Mart aren't next to each other. Next up we have Violet City, which is a lot different to be fair. The Bellsprout Tower is right in the middle. The Pokemon Center, the market and the gym are all next to each other though, which is pretty cool. We also don't have that bottom left hand side house as well in the early design. Next up we have Azalea Town, which is actually a lot more different in the early design. It's more portrait than landscape. It also has water in here as well, and it doesn't actually have a gym. So maybe this Azalea Town in the early design was just supposed to be maybe like a, I don't know, maybe just a kind of pit stop kind of thing that you just kind of walked through. But yeah, in the final version they did decide to add a gym. Next up we have Goldenrod City, which is obviously the big city. There's not really a huge difference apart from the market being a lot smaller in the early design than the final design, but obviously the radio tower is kind of different. It's kind of just created as like Bellsprout Tower, but it was supposed to kind of be radio tower. There is also something on the edge of the early design as well next to the radio tower. I'm not sure if that's like a port or something, but definitely interesting to see what that would be. Next up we have Ecruteak. Now Ecruteak is a lot more different as well. Obviously the gym is in the very top left, and you also needed cut to get through there, similar to as you needed in Celadon City for Generation 1, and they're also differently coloured to what the final designs are. And obviously the market is right in the middle, the Pokemon Center is right in the middle, we still have the tower, and then the houses are just kind of like all around the Pokemon market. It's kind of weird to have the market just in the middle of that. Next up we have Olivine City. Everything's still there. We have the lighthouse, but it's on the left this time. The gym's in the bottom instead of the top, obviously, as we all know, and then the market's there and the Pokemon Center's there. So these designs are really cool. We still obviously have the port and everything like that, but it's cool to see how these designs differ from like the early designs and how they were first seen. Next up we have Cianwood City, which has obviously got a very different design to the final design. So we obviously have just the Pokemon Center, the market, and the gym, whereas in Cianwood we actually have, like, as we all know, it's on like the beach and everything with the gym and everything. It actually has a market in the early design as well, which we don't actually have on the Pokemon, the final design for the city. So I'm not sure what they originally were going to do for this, because it doesn't really look like it. On the early design you kind of just come in from the top or the left or the bottom and then that's it, whereas on the final design you had to serve to this location. So I'm not sure what difference they had there. Next up we have Mahogany Town. Again, we have the gym, we have the Pokemon Center. However, we don't have the market in the final design, even though we do have the market on this design, and that's probably because of the whole like Lake of Rage situation thing going on. Obviously that middle tower is to do with obviously the corrupt thing that was going on, but we have the market here, so maybe the Lake of Rage was just, maybe there was never supposed to be a shiny Gyarados or something. Next up we do actually have the Lake of Rage, and something really interesting about that is that they actually had a gym and quite a few houses and a Pokemon Center and a market in the early design. So maybe this whole place was supposed to be a gym eventually. We still have that little right hand corner house in the bottom right, but we have the Lake of Rage, and you know, I'm really interested to see what that gym would have been, and you know, who would have been there, what typing it would have been. Maybe water or something, because obviously the Lake of Rage is right next to a lake, and then we have the Pokemon Center in the market. Next up we have Blackthorn City. A big difference here as well. We have a big tower in the earlier version, so I'm not sure what that was supposed to be. Maybe it's supposed to be what the cave or like turned into. Maybe we have this maze as well to actually get to the tower, which is actually really cool. It's like a nice little mini game. And then of course we have the gym, as we all know. We have the market, the Pokemon Center, everything like that. But that are all the cities, guys, that did have early design, so it's really cool seeing all of these, and I was really excited to show you guys this. Our next rejected feature for Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal is all to do with the Game Corner. Now, there are two kinds of machines in the Game Corner in Gold, Silver, and Crystal, a slot machine and a card flipping table. However, it appears that a memory minigame was also planned, and this can actually still be hacked into a functional state. You just need to require the coin case and coins to play. As you can see on your screen right now, links will be in the description. There is actually someone that has hacked it and is playing it right now. Anyway, the object of the game is basically just to be matching pair of cards. You know, all a memory game, you just got like, you see them all and then they all flip over and then you just kind of got to remember to where they are. There were actually 3 different difficulty settings though. These range from 0-1 to 0-3, and they likely correspond to being a bet of 1, 2, or 3 coins, which is really cool because this on your screen right now looks very difficult, and I don't think I'd be able to do this because my memory is not great, but having that many cards, definitely very, very difficult. Our next rejected feature takes a look at unused and redundant egg moves. Now, as we all know, Gen 2 was the first generation to allow the process of Pokemon breeding, and in these games, players could drop off a pair of compatible Pokemon at the daycare, then come back after some time and pass to receive an egg, which was really cool. I really liked it. There was obviously loads of different requirements. You needed like 2 different genders that could breed a different, like the same egg group, everything like that. But there were actually some unused egg moves in these games. Now, first of all, Staryu could, well, use Aurora Beam, Barrier, and Supersonic, even though it was never possible for Staryu to get these moves in this game. Smoochum could learn Lovely Kiss, even though it was impossible for it to learn it. Oddish could get Charm, again impossible. Snorlax could learn Charm, again impossible. And Bulbasaur could also learn Charm, but that is impossible as well. They're impossible because of different like situations. See, like Staryu is genderless, meaning they can't be bred. It can only be bred with a Ditto, and they can't inherit their parents' moves. Obviously, Bulbasaur, same case with Oddish and Snorlax. The Charm is an unused egg move on these guys, as there is no legitimate fathers in the Grass egg move who can learn Charm. So there's just different like kind of parameters that went into these guys not being able to learn these moves, but they were still implemented into the game. Our last rejected feature for the Generation 2 games is inaccessible shiny variants. Now, as we all know, every Pokemon in the game does have a shiny variant, but some of them aren't actually obtainable via legitimate means. Now, the first one is Mew. If you did have a shiny Mew from like an event or something in Generation 1, it actually had fixed set of DVs, which basically prevented it from being shiny when traded over to Generation 2. So if you had a shiny Mew, you trade it over, it would no longer be shiny. Now, I don't know if you trade it back, it'd be shiny again. It might be because of the DVs, but I generally don't know. So if you're one of those people, I do apologize if you lost your shiny Mew, but hey, hopefully you could trade it back and get it. Next up, we have Unknown. All 26 forms of Unknown have shiny variants, but only I and V are accessible due to the way Gen 2 determines this Pokemon's forms and shininess. So, a couple of shiny luck Pokemon, technically, if you think about it. But with that, it does wrap up today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did making it. If you did enjoy the video though, please do leave a like. I would really appreciate it. Like I said at the start of the video, if you know any other rejected features in the Generation 2 games, let me know about them in the comment section below. I do have a couple top 5s coming to the screen in a second, including the old rejected features as well from Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow, so definitely check that out if you did enjoy this video. That is everything from me though, guys, so thank you so much for watching. Have an amazing rest of your day, and until next time, guys, peace.